同志，冷靜。
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Murray McElhose, and this is my review of Lost in Hong Kong. After the gigantic success of 2012's Lost in Thailand, it only makes sense that there would be a sequel. Like its predecessor, Lost in Hong Kong is also directed and co-written by
Xu Zheng,
who is also the star of the films. But Lost in Hong Kong is a sequel in name only. These are all new characters who have no connection to the earlier film.
Xu Zheng,
Plays
Xu Lai,
a middle-aged man who has come to Hong Kong to try to reconnect with his college sweetheart,
Yang Yi,
played by
Du Juan.
The only problem is, Xu's married to the other girl he met in college, played by Vicky Zhao. Xu spends one incredible day running all over Hong Kong, tailed by his brother-in-law, played by
Bao Bear,
Will Xu find his long-lost love? Will they finally get to kiss each other? Or maybe more than that? Watch the movie, you'll find out. Besides, in a lot of ways, the story is almost secondary to the setting. Because Lost in Hong Kong creates a world that's equal parts travel fantasy and, for lack of a better term, cinema verite. A central theme of the film is the role that Hong Kong cinema of the 80s and early 90s played in the lives of the characters.
Xu Lai, Yang Yi,
Initially bond while hand-painting posters for Hong Kong movies showing at their university in China. The present-day part of the story takes place in Hong Kong, and the way the city is presented in the movie relies heavily on references to local cinema both obliquely and explicitly. There are a lot of cameos from people in Hong Kong's film industry from both sides of the camera, but there are no big-name stars, only well-known supporting actors like Sam Lee, Eric Kotman-Fai, Jerry Lam, Kingdom Yoon, and even Bat Leungam. Directors like Andrew Lau and Wong Jing also appear, essentially playing themselves. Lam Soot and Richard deserve special mention for their especially funny appearances. I may be stretching things a little bit, but to me the cameos make sense in terms of how the main characters of the film might construct a fantasy around their adventures in Hong Kong. We would all like to star in our own movie, so the idea of wandering through Hong Kong's cityscape interacting with a familiar supporting cast is very logical, because that way you're the star. It's also very logical to use musical cues from older films as the emotional and literal soundtrack in the movie. It may be a quick and easy way to wring nostalgia out of the viewers, but it's also a very, very effective means of doing so. Throughout Lost in Hong Kong, there's a very obvious air of affection for a time and place when Hong Kong movies meant something very special and very unique to people in China. Part of that nostalgia is for the movies, and part of it, of course, has to do with the time and place in people's lives that those movies were a part of. Which is all well and good, but at some point we've got to address the issue of the current cultural and political climate between Hong Kong and China. Some people may argue that Lost in Hong Kong is almost a cinematic revenge tale where the burgeoning Chinese film industry brings the once powerful Hong Kong industry to heel, and with it a city that has recently been very outspoken in its insistence on being different. To be honest, given the city's current political situation and feelings about China in general and Chinese tourists in particular, there's really no way this film was going to have the same kind of success in Hong Kong that it did in China. Local people wouldn't really want to watch a movie about Chinese tourists running around their city and treating the place like one big amusement park. Especially when
Xu Lai,
jumps a taxi queue. But it's not as though these kinds of depictions are unique. Yes, Hong Kong becomes exoticized and objectified and reduced to a one-dimensional playground for visitors. But that's what movies from one place do to another place when that's the setting. I'm sure that Bangkok isn't just the way it's shown in The Hangover 2. I've only been to Tokyo a few times, but I've spent enough time there to reinforce my already existing view that Lost in Translation was not just awful, but unrealistic and insulting. But what do I know about movies? Well, I do know that Lost in Hong Kong is nowhere near as insulting to Hong Kong and the people who live here as Iceman. Don't get me started. If you want to watch this movie, I'd recommend it. See it in a cinema where it'll look really big. Otherwise, wait till you can rent it or buy it. Do not steal this film. When it does get released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy it. If you enjoyed this review, please tell me. If you didn't, tell me. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.